morning, everyone. So this is your instructor, Elaine, for your English Maritime course. So today, we are now on our week 58, so day 1. So for today, I'm going to discuss about the AIS and the ship identification. So this is still part of the maritime communication. So AIS, or the Ship Identification, or what we call the Automatic Identification System. So, as I said, this is an automated tracking system used on the ship and by vessel traffic services. So, this is used to identify and locate the vessel by electronically exchanging data with other nearby ships. So, this is used to enhance the safety, navigating, and security by broadcasting the real-time vessel information, including the identity, the position, the course, and the speed via VHF radio waves. So the AIS was primarily developed for collisions avoidance, allowing vessels to see each other in the darkness or poor visibility. So it broadcasts the three types of the information. So first, it developed by the IMO to improve the safety, protect the environment, and enhance the situational awareness in congested waters. So by this, they're going to use what we call the self-organizing time division multiple access to handle over 45 or 4,500 reports per minute, updating as often as every 2 seconds. So we have types of AIS. So we have here what we call the Class A and the Class B. So the Class A, it requires for all the vessel of 300 plus across tonnage on the international voyage and all passenger ships operating at 12.5 W with a range up to 50 miles. While the Class B, the Class A, this is the most robust version mandated for the SOLAS regulated vessels. And then we have the Class B. So this is intended for the smaller non-SOLAS vessel which power and reporting. So the Class B is the lower cost. So again, the Class B. So this is the lower cost or lower power, version for the smaller and recreational vessels. So, how do they apply the AIS is by collisions avoidance. So, ship can see other ships even behind obstacles within the VHF range. And then also by tracking. So, the satellite AIS allow tracking of the vessel globally. And then security and safety, it monitors the illegal fishing and assists in the search and rescue. So again, I have here some list of the purpose of the AIS. So as I said earlier, for the collisions avoidance, so they provide the real-time tracking of the surroundings vessels to help the navigators make informed decisions. And then we have what we call the vessel identification. So it allows the ships to identify other ships, their type, name, and the navigational status. Then we have the traffic monitoring. So this one, it enables the VTS or what we call the Vessel Traffic Services to manage the maritime traffic and monitor particularly in the busy shipping lanes. And then lastly is for the safety and security. So it facilitates search and rescue operations and provides tracking for a better and safer navigation. So in all, it enhanced the situational awareness beyond the radar range, improve port efficiency, better scheduling, and critical support for the search and rescue. So AIS in a collisions avoidance. So as part of data exchange, the AIS transmits dynamic data, so like the position, speed and course, static data, which is the ship name, IMO number, and then the voyage data, which is the destination, to a nearby ships every 2 to 10 seconds. And then for every 30 seconds for the Class B. For the situational awareness, so by visualizing the surroundings traffic, it helps identify potential collisions risk. Hmm. It also have some limitations. So AIS is an aid to navigation and should not be used as the sole tool for collisions avoidance. So it cannot replace the radar as not all the vessels carry AIS, so it can be turned off and it is subject to data inaccuracy or spoofing. And then it should be used in a conjunction with a radar, visual logbook, and other navigational aids. we have here the AIS message type. So we have three. We have the static information, the dynamic information, and the voyage-related data. So the AIS data is recognized into a three primary message type to manage the bandwidth and ensure the mariners or the seafarers receive the most relevant information based on its urgency and frequency of change. So the first one is what we call the static data. So the static information, it consists of the fixed details about the vessels that rarely change. So these are typically programmed into the AIS transponder at the time of the installations. So the interval for these transmissions is every 6 minutes or upon request. So we have here the MMSI number, which is this is the unique identifier for the vessel, the 9-digit identification, the IMO number also, which is the permanent vessel identifier, and then the vessel name and the call sign. So this is the official identification. And then the ship types. So whether it is a tanker, a cargo, or a passenger vessel. And then we also have the dimension, the length and the beam. And then location of the positioning antenna. So it depends on the GPS antenna position on the vessels. Then the second type of the message is what we call the dynamic information. So the dynamic data, it includes information that changes rapidly as the vessels move. So this is an automatically pulled into a bridge sensors like the GPS and the gyro compasses. So for this one, the transmission interval, this is the highly variable that ranging from 2 to 10 seconds when underway or depending on the speed and maneuvering, and every 3 minutes with anchor. So here they should have also the ship's position, which is the latitude and longitude with the accuracy indication, the position timestamp or the UTC time of the position fix, and then the course over ground and the speed over ground. So this is the true course and the speed in knots. And then also the heading, which is the direction of the ship's bow is pointing. And then the navigational status for it is underway or at anchor or not under command. And then lastly is the rate of turn, or the ROT. So how fast the ship is turning. And then the last type of the message is what we call the voyage related message. So this one, the voyage data, it contains information that's specific to the current trip. So unlike the dynamic data, these fields are manually entered by the crew and must be updated at the start of every voyage. So the transmission interval is every 6 minutes when data is amended or upon request. So we have here the ship's draft or the maximum present static draft. And then if there's a hazardous cargo, so you need to have the type of cargo carried. And then the destination or the destination port and the ETA or the intended port of arrival. We also have the ETA or the estimated time of arrival. And then the route plan. So the waypoint. So this will be optional. Then, and then we also have persons on board or the total number of the crew or the passengers. So for technical processing, these categories are often mapped to specific standard AIS. So the message 1, 2, and 3 is this the standard class A dynamic position reports. The message 5 is the combined class A static and voyage data. And then the 2 and 4 static data and the class B vessel. So all of this message type defined by the ITU or the International Telecommunication Union. So the automatic identification system, it manage time slots to avoid the signal interference primarily through what we call the self-organized time division multiple access. So this is decentralized autonomous system that divided the VHF radio channels into a 4,500 distinct time slots every 60 seconds. Because there is no central control, which AIS transceiver monitors the channels, construct a slot map, and intelligently select the available time slot to transmit the data without colliding with other ships. So here is how the AIS manage time slot to prevent the interference. So again, first is by the SODTMA, or what we call the self-organized time division and multiple access. So this is the primary method used by Class A devices, or what we call the commercial ships. So slot mapping construction. So every situation constantly receives the message from other to build an internal map of occupied slot within the range. So the vessel's AIS unit constantly monitors the VHF data link to see which slots are in use. So when the vessel needs to transmit, it checks its internal slot map for a free slot and reserve it for the future periodic transmission. And then for the collisions avoidance, stations actively select empty slots to transmit in, ensure they do not use a slot already occupied by nearby vessels. So if the two stations accidentally select the same slot, the system automatically detects the collisions. So and the stations reevaluate and select new different slots. So and we have the free announcement also. So when the situations select a slot, it announces the which future slot it plans to use. And then this warns other ships to avoid those slots, preventing the signals clashes. So announcing it in the future use. So when a station transmit, it includes information in it about when it will be used a slot again. And then this allow nearby ships to update their slot map. So preventing them from using the same slot. And then we have also the dynamic adaptation. So as the ship moves, it may encounter a new vessel which different slot allocation. So the system automatically shifts its own slot usage to adapt to the new environment. then the second one is what we call the contentions resolution or the handling high density. So we have here also the slot use or reuse. So if all the 4,500 slots are full, the SOT or the SOTDMA employs a slot or pre-use. So it prioritizing slot by used by distance vessel over the nearby ones. And then we also have what we call the prioritized reporting rates. So the fast-moving vessel, they transmit more frequently. So than the stationary or the anchored ships. So this one is reducing the unnecessary congestion. So if the slot is a free of high strength competing signals, the device transmits, and if the slots is in use, the device delays its transmission until the empty slot is identified. And then we have here the CSDMA for Class B, or what we call the carrier sense time division multiple access. So this one is the for a smaller vessel, or what we call the Class B. They, they use a carrier sense time division multiple access. So they listen to the channel first. If they detected a signal, they wait for an empty slot to avoid the colliding with the Class A transmission. So before transmitting, the Class B devices are listening to the VHF channels to check for the radio energy. And then we have here what we call the synchronizations and timing. So here by synchronizations and timing, we have the GPS time reference. So all AIS devices use the GPS to synchronize their internal clocks to UTC. And then this ensures that every transceiver know exactly when a 26.67 millisecond slot begins. So it enabling the precise slot aligned transmission. Then we have the transmission masking. So this is the data transmitted within a strict filtered channel mask to ensure the signals do not leak into adjacent channel. then we also have here some technical measures. So the dual channel operations where the AIS operates or transponded, they use two different frequencies. So this one's providing capacity for more messages. So the IIS operates simultaneously on two separate VHF channels to prevent some congestions. And then two-way interactions. So while often received as one of or one way, AIS units continuously receive and process the data to manage their own transmission timing. So the system function like a first come first serve. So booking system of time which automatically adjusts to number of the vessel in the immediate vicinity. So now, what is the difference between commercial and the leisure equipment or the class A and the class B? So the AIS class A, this is the mandatory for a large commercial vessel. So they offering a high power frequent updates and priority in a busy complex or SOLAS regulated waters. So the class A, so this is for the commercial or SOLAS vessels, while the class B is for the recreational or small non-commercial boats. Regarding the power and range, the class A operates at 12.5 watts, offering a much longer transmission range compared to a class B's 2 watts. Regarding the update frequency, so the class A, they updates every 2 to 10 seconds. And then the class B updates every 30 seconds. For priority, regarding the congestion area, the class A signals are prioritized, where are the class B signals may be delayed if the channel is full. And then we have the data type also, which is the class A transmit more delayed mandatory voyage related data. And regarding the cost and installation, the class A units are expensive and complex, while the class B units are more cheaper and designed for more easier installation. So here, the Class B, this is a modern, enhanced version of the Class B CODTMA. So this transmit at 5 watts instead of 2 watts and use the same technology as Class A. So meaning it does not wait for a free slot and offers a better visibility in busy areas. So the satellite AIS. The satellite AIS is a technology that uses satellites to receive AIS signal. So from the ship transponders, providing the global tracking of the maritime traffic, including in a remote open sea or open ocean areas where terrestrial shore-based system cannot reach. So it enables near real-time monitoring vessels, positions, speed, and heading. So the key aspect of the satellite AIS. So we have here for the global coverage. So unlike the terrestrial AIS, which relies on the coastal position or stations, the SAIS provide the coverage of the entire oceans, which is critical for monitoring remote areas. So the vessel standard AIS transponder transmit the signals through VHF radio that are intercepted by orbiting satellites. So these satellites, they process the signals, handle the potential data collisions, and transmit the transformation back to the ground station. So how this should be applied? So in maritime safety security, essentially for tracking vessels, identifying the dark shipping or the ships with a disabled AIS, and aiding in a search and rescue mission. Then we also have what we call the commercial and logistics. So they use for a fleet management, monitoring fishing, and optimizing the shipping routes. And then we also have the regulatory monitoring. So this one, it helps in checking compliance, environmental protection, and the border patrol. So the system relies on a combination of AIS equipped ships a satellite constellation, and a ground station for our data processing. So the SAS complements rather than replaces. So the terrestrial AIS providing a comprehensive continuous picture of a global maritime traffic. So we are now moving for the AIS data security. So the Maritime Automatic Identification System security is a critical concern because the system was originally designed for a safety and collisions avoidance, not for security or not for a secure communication. See, because it relies on encrypted self-reported VHF radio signal, it is inherently vulnerable to manipulate. So we have here some core security threats. So first is what we call the AIS spoofing. So this is the deliberate broadcast of the false data to mislead others about a vessel's identity, position, and speed, and destinations. We also have here what we call the identity theft and laundering. So this is the vessel may hijack the identity of another active ships for use a zombie identity. So from scrap vessel to bypass sanctions or engage in illegal fishing. We also have here the GNSS or the GPS spoofing. So, tricking the ships on board GPS into a reporting an incorrect location, which the AIS then broadcasts as a truth. Then we also have here the ghost vessel or creating the entirely non-existent ships on a monitoring screens to confuse the traffic or create diversions. So for the regulatory and legal framework, so we have here the SOLAS mandate. So the International Maritime Organization, or the IMO, it requires the AIS on all ships of 300 gross tonnage and upwards on the international voyage, and all passenger ships regardless of the size. Then we have the cyber risk management. So, as of January 2021, the IMO mandates that cyber risk be addressed in a vessel safety management system. And then lastly is the operating rules. So masters may only switch off the AIS if they believe it is essential for the safety or security of the ship. For example, is to avoid detection by the pirates. And then we have here the modern protection and detection. So since the AIS lacks built-in encryption, security relies on a multi-source verification. So we have here the behavioral analytics. So they're using an AI to identify teleporting vessels or inconsistent trajectories that defy the laws of physics. And then we have what we call the cross verification. So the cross verification, so this is the comparing the AIS data against the satellite imagery or the optical or synthetic aperture radar and the radio frequency geolocation. So this is to confirm the ship is physically present where it claims to be. And then lastly is what we call the technological proposals. So researchers have proposed maritime certificateless identity based cryptography. So this one is to add identification and encryption to the future AIS standards. So that's it for today. And I would like to thank you all for listening for our English Maritime course today regarding the AIS and the ship identification. So more of this we will be continue in our day 2 of our discussion. So again, this is your instructor Elaine for your English Maritime course.